Thank you, Dennis, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you might be in this wonderful world of ours. My name is Seamus Corry. I am a well-being consultant and mental health trained practitioner. Today, it's my honor and privilege to be here, to be at Instead Talks, to be with you this morning, to speak to you about a subject that's very close to my heart. As you can hear from my accent, I'm Irish, and one of the wonderful gifts that I've received as an Irish person living in the UK and as an Irish person by birth, I we have a great gift of storytelling, and today I'd like to share with you uh, a story which has within it the seeds of joy, hope, misery, anguish, but redemption. And to begin this story, I would like you just to settle back, sit back. I hope you have a beverage of your choice in front of you and just listen to my story for the next 15 minutes. As with any story, it begins with once upon a time in a land far away lived a boy. And this boy grew into a wonderful family of faith. The boy recognized that from a very young age, he was chosen for a very special purpose. He was chosen for priesthood. He was chosen to become a Roman Catholic priest. Chosen, picked out, set aside, whatever word you'd like to describe, whatever way you'd like to visualize. But he grew in a bubble. He grew in a bubble of love and care and faith. He grew into a village that loved him and supported him and knew all about him, knew all about his story already, knew all about what he wanted to be when he grew up. So from his earliest moment that he could walk and talk, he knew what he wanted, he knew what he wanted to be, he knew what was in store for his life. He knew that he was going to be a priest, that he was chosen by God to take on the Catholic ministry and be ordained. Early life, he grew up in a village surrounded by wonderful family, wonderful neighbours, wonderful friends. He ran in fields of hay during the summer. He danced to dances in the, as you would, traditional Irish dances in the Harvest Festival. He went to school. He made friends. Everything appeared normal, but it was different. Different for him. He was different. He felt different. He knew he was different. The time came. Primary school went into secondary school. Secondary school or high school for those of us in the States finished, and he headed on the next stage of his journey, a journey which took him far away from home, a journey which took him into the mouth of Mordor for those who are of the Lord of the Rings type of fan. And for the next 7 years, everything he knew, everything he loved, everything he came to understand about himself and the world around him turned on its axis as he found himself locked in an institution, a medieval institution, whose purpose was to break, shape, mold, cajole, shift mindsets to take on the sacred ministry of priesthood. He found himself alone, afraid, found himself surrounded by darkness and constant anxiety. found himself surrounded by fear and loneliness and separation. And he decided in order to get through it, he had to survive, not thrive, just survive. And survived he did on in and the objective was fulfilled. He became a priest. Well, he didn't know himself. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know what he was about. He didn't know what he wanted, what he didn't want. All he knew was he had achieved the objective of becoming a priest. His community was delighted. In fact, they rejoiced. His family were honoured and humbled and privileged to have now a priest in their family. But the boy wasn't happy. The boy, now the priest, wasn't happy. In fact, he woke up the very next day after his ordination and wondered what he had done. He felt lost. He felt alone. He felt isolated. But worse, he couldn't speak to anybody about it. He couldn't share his feelings with anybody. And so he did what he was trained to do, tried to be the best priest he could, but failing miserably. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't right deep within him, and he knew it. The questions came and the questions kept coming. Am I doing right? Am I in the right place? Who am I? What am I about? And as the questions came, he suppressed the questions further and further down until he could suppress them no more. And he had to begin to answer them. He had to face himself finally. Face who he was. Face what he was. And in facing that, it was a big revelation. Revelation, I say, maybe shock for some. Shock that some people couldn't accept. And in that revelation, he was rejected. He was rejected by those he loved around him. He was rejected by his family, by his friends, even those closest to him. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds familiar, like a great story that we've heard over the last few weeks. As we approached Easter Sunday, Jesus himself was rejected. Jesus himself was ignored. Jesus himself was isolated. The boy was definitely not Jesus, but his story is similar. In order to find himself, he needed to leave home, needed to leave his loved ones, needed to leave everything that he knew and loved behind him, and start out on a path and on a journey of discovery. It was a path charged with challenges, not least. Where did he go? What was he to do? Who was he to be? Who would help him? Who would support him? Who was he? Who was he? What did he like? What didn't he like? How long did a spaghetti bolognese take to cook in the microwave? He didn't know. He did not know. He had to learn and relearn from scratch everything he needed for survival. And in that darkness, and in that struggle, he found himself, discovered himself for who he really was, found the light of inspiration, found the light of courage, found the light of determination, found the strength and resilience of character to take on the challenge. His story doesn't stop there, and his story has continued. His story continues to this very day. as he walks the path he now shares with others. He may have been rejected by his biological family, but he has a new family. He has a newfound set of friends. He now aligns himself to his mission, vision, and value and purpose. He's taken that road previously trodden by others, and coming through the dark night of the soul, coming through murder and coming out the other side, he has a deep sense and understanding of who he is, what life is about, and what life truly means. Today, that boy is grateful for the journey that he's taken, for the life that he's lived, and for the friends he's met along the way. Today, you're looking at that boy who is now a man, who has lived so many lives, but in honesty is living his true purpose, his true mission, and his true life just now, surrounded by the care, love, and support of others. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my instant talk.